Today I'm working on an old air hose reel. Right now it's not really leaking. You can put it in a specific spot and it seemed okay, but watch if I move it. Yeah, you can hear the leak. Yeah, you can hear it's not from these fittings right here. It's inside. So it's inside this unit right there. Some O-rings. Okay, so that came apart pretty easy. Looks like just a snap ring right here, so I need to get that off, and then this unit can separate. I'm just going to leave this connected, I think. Just going to mark which side that goes in. Okay, I felt in here with my finger. You can see how smooth it is. This bore is totally smooth, so it's just going to be an O-ring issue. So I'll take it to the bench and figure out some O-rings. Alright, this is that intersection here with the O-rings. That snap ring that I removed goes right here. Now the O-rings, they're still slightly soft, but you can see how dry they are. And then the edge, they're completely flush with the edge, so they were not sealing anymore. So I'm going to take those off and find some new ones. Yeah, they're actually pretty hard. There are a couple ways of going out about finding the O-ring size. You can just compare these if you have a kit, and you can kind of gauge which one would be about the same size. I've got a metric and a standard kit, but I like to start off with some calipers and just see what the actual measurement is. So on this particular unit, the inside diameter is just slightly over 12 millimeters, and it's just slightly under ½ inch, but it's pretty close to ½ inch. So in this case, I'm going with standard size R9, so it has a ½ inch inside diameter. Before I put on the O-rings, I'm just double checking, making sure these edges have a little bit of a bevel. They're polished pretty smooth, so we shouldn't have any issue of installing or having an installed O-ring getting cut by the lips here. I'm using a silicone grease. It's designed for O-rings. May not be a huge deal with these, but for installing the O-rings, I use this pick, so I could just expand it and have it kind of pulled down versus rolled on. If you tend to do it with your fingers, you end up rolling it. And if you roll it, there's a chance of twisting it, and you really don't want it twisted. See, that would be an example of rolling it down, and you don't know if it's twisted. If it's twisted, it may blow out. You can see that these new O-rings, the gap, they're a little proud of the surface. So they're a little bit higher than the old ones that were totally flat. And just having some silicone grease on there should make them last significantly longer. I'm surprised the other ones lasted as long as they did. Those are the original ones, and I've had that hose reel over 15 years, so it's done a pretty good job. Yeah, it's definitely a lot tighter fit. Yeah, that clip got a little bit bent, so I just pulled it in. Okay, I'm gonna go turn the air on. I got that fixed. Actually, I could hear a little leak after I said that. I mean, it's just this right here, though. Okay. Yeah, see, that seems perfect, and the air is on. Yeah, that's fixed. Look at these old O-rings. This one here is still pretty flexible. You can see it. Try to, yeah, see it, that one broke. The other one's a little bit more brittle, though. It's got a lot more breaks in it. So something like that breaks in your hand. It's definitely surprising it was sealing at all, but they are over 15 years old. I can definitely recommend having a couple sets of these O-ring sets on hand. They're not that expensive at all. These are like $20, $23 for both of them. So you've got metric and standard, and it gives you all the sizes and the dimensions. So if you can measure a little bit with the calipers, then you can determine whether it's metric or standard. And these grooves on the side also correspond with the thicknesses, sidewall thicknesses. Something else I wanted to mention, the first snap ring pliers that I'd ever bought were these. These are Westward. It's a pretty common style. These are reversible. This snaps and you can reverse it. It's just a single size. But the problem is you can see how much play is in both of those. And I was running into issues where it would twist the clip rather than get it out when you're trying to do some larger clips. So ultimately, a few years ago, I bought these by Channel Lock. They're the 927s. So these are perfectly stiff. This one's also reversible, and it came with a whole bunch of different tips. And I've used these on some pretty large clips and transmissions, and I've never been able to break them, and they work perfectly. So these are really only a little bit more expensive than this style, but I haven't used this style since I got these, and that was probably about 8 years ago. So this repair went very well, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. This is a Northern brand hose reel it's over 15 years old, and that's the first time that's been apart. Recently I put a hose on it and replaced the original one with the same one that was on there. They came with these Goodyear USA brand originally, so those hold up really well. And it was nice being able to disassemble that part without taking it off of the hose on the reel, and also without pulling the whole unit off the wall, because it's mounted up on the ceiling and I was up there on a ladder trying to get to it. Before I took it apart, I looked to see if I could just buy that swivel fitting, just see if they were available, and they're using a different style right now, so I didn't see any of that design. But one tip, if you want to take something like this apart, like in my case, I use it every day, so if I took it apart and I didn't have the parts to fix it, I would have to put it back together while it still leaks so I could use it tomorrow. But one tip would be to look online, and you can find old manuals Even though this one's discontinued, I could find an exploded view for a similar one from a different manufacturer, and I could at least see what was on the inside. And seeing as the O-rings are either good or they're bad, there's really nothing else that can go wrong. And I had some O-rings, I felt like I could take it apart and fix it, and it did work out okay. Thanks for watching, and take a look at some of my other videos for other tool builds and repairs, things like that. Thanks.